Alright, I just want to do a short video going over Elemental Catalyst, which is this set here that we've got on. It says, whenever you deal flame, shock, or frost damage, you apply a stack of flame, shock, or frost weakness to the enemy for 3 seconds. Each stack of elemental weakness increases their critical damage taken by 5%. An enemy can only have 1 stack of each elemental weakness at a time. So if you have flame, shock, and frost damage on your target at the same time, you will have a 15% increase to their critical damage taken. So with EC, we're going to look at the crow for the skills typically used. So first one that we're going to go over is Boneyard here, which is you desecrate the ground at the target location, dealing 10,000 frost damage over 10 seconds. So this is our frost skill. We want to have this up 100% of the time because this will increase the damage taken on the enemy by 5%. Next one I got here is Rune. We can swap Rune out a little bit. You can use Unstable Wall if you're using a Flame Staff, but that is not so much of a thing at the moment, so we're just going to look at Rune right now. When triggered, the rune blasts all enemies in the target area for 7,000 flame damage, and an additional 10,000 flame damage over 26 seconds. So this is another one that we want to keep up for the full duration. It also works well because you can use this one more often than needed to if you want for the extra burst damage that it does. And the last one that you have to have on a crow for EC is Mystic Siphon. If you are doing a full damage crow, at the moment you run Detonating Siphon, but you can't do that on EC. You must run Mystic Siphon in EC. So this one violently drains the last spark of life from a corpse, dealing 15,000 shock damage over 20 seconds. So EC needed flame damage, which we've got with Rune, frost damage, which we've got with Boneyard, and shock damage, which we have with Siphon. So if you look here, we'll kind of zoom in just a little bit more. On the dummy, we've got our EC equipped. We will do the frost first. You see at the top on the buff bar on the dummy, there is the 5% increased damage taken on the dummy there. There's also the swirling animation you can see around his body, which he doesn't usually have. That is the frost animation for EC. When that pops off in just a second, we will go over flame damage, which is here. See, this is the symbol on the left hand side on the dummy. It's almost identical to the frost one, but obviously red for fire, and he has flame swirlies you can see around his body instead of the kind of white frosty swirlies. So let's pop that off. And the last one that we're going to have here, we're just going to proc a blast bones for it. You want to make sure that your tether comes off from by the whatever the boss is, whatever the target, and then we do our siphon. And that is the shock damage. And you can see the symbols kind of similar again at the top. So these 3 skills, yeah, and you kind of got the electric swirlies around him. These 3 skills you want to keep up. For whatever skill you're going to be using for flame, you want to keep up 100% of the time, and when you have them all up, you have all 3 of them right there on your top buff bar, or debuff bar on the target. So the other skill I have on my bar, and this only applies if you're going to be using a staff, it's used in Bass a lot because it allows you to put all 3 types of weakness, the frost, flame, and ice weakness for EC on a target. Very quickly, is Force Pulse. So first, Force Pulse focuses all the elemental energies with your staff to blast an enemy for 2,000 flame damage, 2,000 frost damage, and 2,000 shock damage at once. So what you can do here is just right there, you get all 3 of them immediately on the target, and you can see when he's got all 3, he's got really colourful kind of swirlies around his body, as well as the debuffs on the bar. This doesn't apply as much at the moment because a lot of the time we're not running staves anymore, we're running daggers, or bows, or greatswords, but this is just to show you that that's what it looks like when you've got all 3 up. I just wanted to add on to the last video, just to go over that we have all 5 pieces of elemental catalyst on. There is a misunderstanding that the skeletal mage here, the Arcanist, will also proc the shock damage for EC. You see it does deal shock damage there, however when you proc it, if we activate the dummy, pull out our Arcanist, you can see that we are not getting any EC procs. There is no debuffs on the dummy, there is none of the shock damage debuff on him, there's no swirlies on the body, so the Arcanist does not contribute to EC at all.